Hi, Valfrania here. I wanted to address a question that was put to me on the forum recently about procrastination. You know, this business has many moving parts. First, we have to find the piece, and we have to clean the piece, and we need to repair it, and do all the prep necessary, priming, sanding, and that's just to start before we even get to do any type of designing. It's a multi-step process. Now, don't tell me you don't have to sand with chalk paint. You know, many people say that, and this is a free piece of advice for you. On the forum, we suggest you always sand, even if it's just very lightly, to provide some tooth. Yes, many good quality chalk paints have great adherence properties. I'll give you that. But sometimes your substrate just is being difficult. Sometimes it just needs a little bit of help. So when you're on the forum, don't give any advice not to sand, because that is the advice we give. Always sand at least enough to take the shine off and to provide some tooth. Now that was free. Anyway, that's not what I was talking about. Let's get back on subject. Many people have come to me and said, "Oh, I just can't get started. If I could just get started, that would help. I'm so busy." You know, we're all busy, and you make time for what you want to do. And that's one thing I discovered. I don't know if you know this, especially some of you new people on the forum wouldn't know this, but I'm a mom of 15 children. My husband, DH, and I, his name is Mark. We call him DH on the forum. DH and I raised 15 kids. 13 adopted and 2 homemade. And we were busy people. We were full-time in ministry, raising 15 kids, and some of them really gave us a run for our money, and extremely very busy in the ministry. I was a full-time teacher. So I know what busy is, but I also knew that if I wanted to do something, I took the time to do it. And that's the same for you. If you want to make this business work, or if you just want to learn flipping, or you just need to have a hobby, or you just totally enjoy painting and want an outlet, it doesn't matter how busy you are. You can find time to do it. And I'm going to give you some tips on how I got started in my furniture flipping, not just even the business end of it, but just the painstaking prepping and painting and protecting it. That's a many-step process, and it can take a long time. So here are some tips for you. Way back when I was extremely busy with all the kids and had a ton to do but wanted to carve out some hobby time, I started by finding myself a spot to do it. Now, let's say it was scrapbooking. I would set up the tables, and I would bring my supplies out and put them on the table. And that's all I would do. I'd have 5 minutes to do that. That's what I would do. And then the next 5 minutes I had time to do something, I'd lay out all the materials. And then maybe the next 5 minutes I would order my pictures that I needed for the scrapbooks. And then when I had some time down the road, maybe the next day, I would go pick them up at Sam's. And I would lay them on the table. This is the process that you can do in your furniture flipping as well. And I have done this I still do this to this day because I'm very, very busy. You know, I have a lot of online things going on, and I do not have a whole lot of time to do my furniture flipping because I'm mostly online supporting my furniture flipping blueprint members and cooking up things for them to do and challenges. But I don't want to let go of my love of painting and love of flipping furniture. I don't want to give it up, but I don't have a whole lot of time. So what I've done is when I first started out, I had no place to do it in other than my kitchen island. I've since progressed from that to my basement, which is a full-fledged workshop and a place for staging, and I have a craft room down there. But regardless of your space that you have, carve yourself out a little spot, even if it's just a tiny spot where you can lay down a drop cloth in your dining room. Find yourself a spot. If you have a garage, that's great, depending on your weather, whether you can use that or not. I live in Wisconsin, so we've had to do some work on our garage to make it usable because I like to spray. And so we have a great big spray tent out there. It's just wonderful. Anyway, what I do when I have a project, and I actually do this quite often, and it's pretty much how I get anything done around here, I have a space where I've laid out my drop cloth. And then I go pick out the piece I'm going to work on, and I set it on that floor. And if that's all the time I have to do, I do that because that's starting toward getting my project finished. And then in between, after that and before I have time to do any more, I am thinking about how I want to design that piece. I take notes. I was just telling my daughter yesterday when I'm in church and my mind wanders. Does that happen to you? I carry with me constantly a notebook that I can take notes in if something pops into my head. And I was just telling my daughter, yeah, even during church, if something pops in my head, I grab my notebook and I write it down and I set it aside. That's how it doesn't plague me all day long and I can still be paying attention to what's going on. I keep a notebook nearby so when ideas pop into my head. When I'm driving in the car, most often DH is driving, and I have my notebook and I have my iPhone and I'm constantly flipping. I'm actually look through the forum quite often because you are very inspiring. And when I come up with ideas, I write them down. You can do the same thing. You can multitask like that when you're writing, on your lunch break at work. Even when we have a movie on, I have my laptop, my phone, I have my notebook. Whenever I think of things or I want to do something around flip through pictures on Pinterest, I will do that. I'm quite the multitasker. But that's where I get my ideas from. And I make sure you write them down so you don't forget them. And then anyway, I'm back to, I have the piece on the floor in my workshop area. And then I've got all the stuff going on and planning out and deciding what I want to do. And on my off time, I'm either ordering products or discussing something with someone about a process. And then once I kind of have it nailed down in my head, I will go down to my workshop and I'll pull out all the paints, all of the brushes, all of the items that I need for my next step. And I lay it out on the counter or on the floor next to the piece. And that's all the time I have, and I go about my business doing my other things. So now I've got my piece and my products out. So guess what I do next? Next time I have time, I go down there and I open up my can or I get out my cleaning products and I just do one part of what's next. So I will have my crud cutter sitting there because I've already gotten my products out for prep. And I'll have my crud cutter and my Scott's towels, and I will clean the piece. And you can do that in really short time. And then I'm done, and I go back about my business. If you have everything there that you need, and you can grab a few minutes, just run over there and do your prep. Next would be the priming or the repairing or whatever you have to do next. That's how you get something done. If you plan on taking out 6 hours out of a day to go work on a piece, I don't know too many people that can do that. And if you can do that, more power to you. I'm a busy person. I can't do that. When I grab time, I go down and I do what the next step is. And I have found that that has really lent itself to my creative process as well. Because if I take time, I call it dancing around my project. If I take time to think it through and I do it in stages, I'm finding that I'm much more creative and I'm much more willing to experiment as well. I like to experiment. I like to try out new products. And, some of you have mentioned that it scares you to try out a new technique. But if you don't put the pressure on yourself to get it all done right now, I guarantee you're going to feel much more creative and less afraid of experimenting with your techniques if you take your time at it. Now, I know some of you rely on this as your full-time income, and I understand that you're pressed for time and you got to get it done now. But make sure you reserve those pieces for you that allow you to get the creativity going. It wouldn't hurt to have a little piece set off to the side that is not a contract piece that you can just enjoy yourself on and take your time. It's kind of what we're doing on Furniture Flipping Blueprint Pro, which is our Facebook group that's connected to my membership site. I have a little challenge. I told my members to go pick out a little piece and set it aside. And we're going through little challenges to up our game, really, to learn new processes, to use new products, to try out new repair methods, that kind of thing. Their piece is set aside where they can get to it when they have time, and they can still continue with their contract pieces or those big pieces they're working on, but they have put these aside for themselves to really grow their passion, to become better artisans. And that's what I'm suggesting that you do. Don't wait till you have 6 hours in a day. I don't know too many people that have 6 hours in a day, because us creative people tend to have many irons in the fire. So I think you and I are very much alike in that respect, that we're very busy people, that sometimes we overextend ourselves because we're creatives. We're very creative people. So we always have many irons in the fire, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I want to encourage you to allow yourself to have the creativity going on at the same time, because, well, it's very therapeutic for one thing, and it's very good to grow as an artist. So do that. Let's recap. Go find your place that you're going to work. Lay out your drop cloth. And then when you get time, go get your piece and put it right there. It doesn't even hurt to have it right there so you see it as you're walking by, going to do your laundry or going to do stuff for the kids or whatever. It's good to have the piece there because you have it in your head mentally. So you're constantly thinking it over. What can I do with that piece? And then when you get time, go get your cleaning products or your repair products that you're needing. Just sit them right there. 3 minutes out of your time on the way to doing the laundry. Or if you're ready to move on with your painting, get your paint out. Make sure you get your paint sticks and your paint brushes and whatever you need to do. Get your stencil out. Get your rub and buff out. Whatever. Put it right there. I guarantee you it's going to help the creative process to have those mental pictures there for you. And then when you get time, go down and do 1 or 2 steps. It's okay. You can take your time at this. I want to encourage you to not put it off. Don't procrastinate. Work on your methods. Work on new techniques. Work on getting better at what you're doing. And take the time, little bits of time out of your schedule to set yourself up to succeed. That's how I do it. Leave in the comments and let me know how you do it. It's really good to share your process. You can find me at valfrania.com, and you can find all the information about my furniture flipping blueprint there as well. Get on my newsletter list if you'd like to have some tips sent to you here by and by. And let's get to know one another. Let's connect. Have a great day.